morning. I'm out here watching the birds. Watching YouTube screw up. Morning, Jesse, you're in here. It's weird. YouTube is all screwed up. Now we're getting people. It's weird. It's showing. Okay, now we're getting some people in here. I went live a second ago and there was absolutely no response, no nothing. It's weird. It's almost like you gotta, like there's a river and you gotta just jump in at the right time. So, but we're finally getting some people in here and watching the Blue Jays get all mad out here. It's perfect temperature, perfect day. Things are starting to, well, I wouldn't say wind down at home, but depends. I got a bunch of stuff I got to do today. Lawyer stuff, bank stuff. Yeah. Well, it's weird. I went live and there was absolutely 0 people for like 3 minutes. And it showed up on my homepage on the other phone, but yeah, just sometimes it just doesn't stick, right? And so I'm not going to be that guy that's going to stare at the phone for the first 5 minutes waiting for people to come in. Especially when I don't really have a narrative. We're on day, I think it just depends on what I'm going to talk about. So I put open forum. Those still do okay, number-wise. Well, geez, Steve, I thought you did YouTube because you liked it, not because your numbers did. Well, I don't want to talk to myself. If I want to do that, I can just do it without the camera. So we want to have some kind of thing going on. Just gotta have something. We're on day 37 of the carnivore deal, and it's been great for the most part. I'm feeling pretty good. It's I think Google and Facebook are mind readers, and it's interesting when you search a few things, or I get on YouTube and mention carnivore, or I upload videos about carnivore, all the stuff that's being thrown at me on my notifications on my homepage. And I've learned a lot more than I did when I was doing the keto thing. So, but we're still feeling pretty good. Last night I discovered this sausage that they cut like bacon, so it looks like a package of bacon. I made some of that, mixed it with hamburger, and that'll be my meal today. I've been primarily eating twice a day. Sometimes only once a day. Or I'll do, like there was one day where I didn't eat anything until like 4 o'clock, then I snacked on some pork rinds, and then had dinner, and I was done by 7. And that was it. I haven't even been putting anything in my coffee, so it's been pretty good. We can talk about trucking stuff if you want, even though I'm not doing much of it right now. We can talk about health stuff. We can talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. It's an open forum. That's why I label it as such. I haven't even looked at the DAT board or any Uber stuff or convoy stuff. I did get a phone call from a friend saying that the brokers are really fighting back on these rates. And something that irritated him and it irritates me is the line. Brokers have lines. That's all I got in it. I need to be at this number so I can make some money, that kind of thing. But the other line that they'll use when they want to bring rates down is, well, hey, I'm looking at this load going from, Springfield, Missouri to Dallas, Texas. Well, Dallas is a really hot market. You're getting your rates coming out right now, so we're only paying X amount to go in. And that's where that sonar and 15-day average, stuff kind of works against you, is they use the same tools against you. So it's like playing a football game. You both have the ball, you both have kickers, you both have quarterbacks, you both have, pads and helmets and everything, and your goal is to get to the other side, opposite of what they're trying to do. And so there's all these tactics, and I never understood, well, I've understood it, but I don't like that tactic of, well, you're going to get it going in there, so, or coming out, so we're not going to pay to go in. I'm like, well, what if I don't? What if I'm wanting to get to Dallas because there's a contract rate that I'm taking out of there? You know what I mean? It's like, just because the market's good coming out doesn't mean you can't pay me anything going in. And so I hate those lines, because it doesn't, it's like, it's none of your business what I'm getting out of there. I need X amount to go in. Now, but I guess we do the same thing when we go, hey, I'm looking at your load going from Springfield to, Miami, Florida. You're gonna, they're gonna, and they go, well, it's $2 a mile, and you're like, well, no, I need to be at 350 because I'm going to take a hit coming out. I guess we do the same thing. So it's the same line. You just kind of learn to recognize that line when it's being used against you. And watermelon season always creates that. That's the other thing. Watermelon season coming out of Georgia, Florida, and Southeast Texas will always create that line. Oh, the rates are really good coming out, so we're not going to pay anything to go in. And so just keep that in mind. And it's a way to get a lower rate coming out of or going into what is usually a hard area to get out of. So just knowing your markets and knowing the times of year. Everything's cyclical depending on, seasonal depending on the year. And there's a time of year when mulch and sod is moving. There's a time of year when watermelons are moving. There's a time of year when beverages are moving. The lack of live venues has created a weird thing with the beverage industry. When I was a company driver and also Landstar, I would haul a lot of beer, a lot of fireworks. Fireworks are big right now. If you've got hazmat authority, you should be making some money on some fireworks this year. Bottled water gets increased this time of year. Picnic supplies like paper plates, stuff like that, that's in high demand this time of year. Around spring you have cleaning products that are in high demand because, spring cleaning. It may sound stupid, but it's true. Because a lot of the stuff that I've hauled over the last 10 years has been cleaning products. And I know that certain times of the year it's really heavy and other times of the year it's not. Just little things like that, paying attention. That's what the thumbnail's based off of. Learn to observe. Observe, what's going on around you. Observe what's going on in the market. And if I talk to 20 drivers and they're all saying that the brokers are trying to bring the rates down more than normal, then there's something to that. So that's where I talk to Eric, and he kind of gives me some clues of what's going on. And then I also look at, certain products at certain times of the year, such as watermelon. right before produce season begins, you have you have a lot of reefer units doing dry freight. So just stuff like that, little things like that. I don't sit there and plant myself in front of a computer or the phone researching this stuff. I just observe what's around me. So, Trashy Trucker, so have a good day. What are you doing? RD, you're already leaving. Let me read some comments. We'll do some shout outs. All right, let's see here. We got Jesse Bennett, Trashy Trucker Show, which i.e. RD Trucking, John Armstrong, Jonathan Wheeler, GNC Family Trucking, Trucker James Best, Jose, DIY Semi, good morning, Jeremy Rice, The Scribe, Thomas, Big Houston, Lugnut, still in the hotel, John. That sucks. I thought it was an easy sensor fix. Are you waiting on parts? Don Shonger, oh no, Mr. Bill, good morning. Sky SRO Logistics, Cash is King, Bob G, just got the second notification. Pigtail, what's up? Congratulations on your carnivore journey, John, thank you. Nothing Witty is in the house. Nomadic Brit, morning Stephen All. Scott wants to talk to Nomadic Brit, that would be good. Tell them what you need, not what they can pay. I don't play that game. If they start with the BS, I tell them, well, it looks like we're going to be too far apart, and it would be a waste of both yours and my time to even talk about it. So have a good day, and I'll talk to you some other time. Undertaker, are you going to buy any firearms? No. Let's see. Great Freight Sage Logic is in the house. So, it's interesting. I would love to hear how other drivers negotiate, both good and bad. Like, I want to hear from a broker, a dry van broker that deals with the common carrier and the things that they hear. I would like to be on the other side of that. I've been on three-way calls with hey Cat. I've been on three-way calls with friends of mine that have negotiated. People say, well, get on YouTube and do that. No, I wouldn't want my phone conversation with the broker to be on YouTube. Like, oh, hey, by the way, that was a great negotiation and you've been on YouTube. You don't want to do that. You don't want to unknowingly record someone and put them on YouTube. I've seen people do that, and I think that's shady. Well, there's been a lot of drama based around that, but negotiating tactics, and at the end of the day, they're only going to pay what they're only going to pay. In other words, just like at the end of the day, I'm going to deadhead the truck or park it before I would move on a certain thing, right? And they have the same limits. They have the same, at the end of the day, I can only do this much. And maybe that one agent for that big brokerage doesn't care if they lose that customer, or maybe that load is one out of 1,000 loads that they have for that customer nationwide. And so if one doesn't get covered, it's just a percentage risk, not we're going to lose this customer. And so the more desperate whatever side is, the more you can, the more leverage the other party has. So if that load really absolutely has to move or else there's going to be consequences, then yeah, they're going to pay out the nose. And the smart brokers will keep themselves from being in that position. Just like if I have a $5,000 a month truck note and I have no choice but to keep moving regardless of the rate, I can't afford to sit for a day or two, hoping that I'm going to get $3 a mile coming out of Florida or something like that. You got to keep moving. And and maybe I run for a dispatcher. Maybe my company. I know plenty of people that are dispatched that aren't owner operators. They're dispatched by their company, but the company is solely off the spot market. You know, maybe that guy just and they get paid mileage. So the idea is to keep that guy moving. So there's 100,000 ways to do it, and not everybody's going to try to negotiate the highest rate, and that's kind of what affects the rates sometimes. If you have a bunch of desperate dispatchers trying to keep their trucks moving, or they're trying to get a driver home, Morning, kitty. You can't control those things. So again, you can only control how you react to those things. And I read on Facebook all the time, don't move that truck unless you're getting $4 a mile. It's like, I did that at Landstar. It didn't work. Now, little did I know that Landstar, you can't negotiate as extremely as easy as you can in the open market, because a lot of Landstar agents, their hands are tied. They can only get what they get, so they're literally negotiating the rate with C.H. Robinson, and then they're putting it on their board, and then maybe they weren't good negotiators, so C.H. Robinson's giving them a okay rate, and then they've got to make some money, so it becomes a crap rate. There's 1,000 ways to do it. Everybody's saying hey to each other. Such a friendly group. John Kirkpatrick, good morning. Nothing Witty shows kitty cats. Moonflea, morning. Let's see. I keep a list of brokers I don't work with due to attitude, too cheap, etc. Cat has you trained well. It does. It does. My philosophy on the spot market is probably different than a lot of others. I believe the rates fluctuate constantly, and you have to stay loose and fluid and have to be willing to deadhead. RDO will agree with that. It's when I'm looking at the DAT board on the computer, I'll look at the ratios, the in and out ratios. And the ones that are pretty much equal, both sides, make it a lot easier to navigate that market. It's got to have high volume and as many coming in and as many coming out. And that tends to keep that deadhead to a minimum, and it tends to keep, days of sitting to a minimum. Yep, Obituary. They're a death metal band out of Florida. And Scott's comment is, I keep a list of brokers I don't work with due to attitude, too cheap, etc. I used to do a list, and I realized that there's so much fluctuation and there's so much volatility that list wasn't effective, because what works for one guy doesn't work for another. Now at Landstar, I had a list of agents that I would even call. I would blacklist certain agents. Each agent has a 3-digit letter code, and there were some that I just absolutely despised. As far as brokers, there's a couple that I just don't bother calling, but if it's the right load doing the right thing that I want at the right time, I'll call. As long as our factory company will cover it, we're good. Every now and then I'll occasionally check out the DAT reviews on the broker, just to see if there's an issue that looks prominent. If 20 people are saying it, 15 of them might be telling the truth. But for the most part, I used to overthink when it came to the spot market. And I've learned that consistency is key. And so, and you know, and we've been around for, Like Truck has been around for 4 years, so it makes it real easy to, I mean, very rarely am I asking Jeff to make a carrier packet anymore, you know, which is a huge advantage. Um, I could see if you're a one truck operation filling out your carrier packets, you know, 20 brokers, you know, you got to, you know, I can see where that could be daunting, but you know, I've only filled out like one or two carrier packets, and Jeff kind of had to walk me through it, you know, so it wasn't much of a break for him if I have to like have him help me do it. Um, but for the most part, I don't know, I'm very fluid as well, but I try not to put myself in a position. I don't mind deadheading. You know, there's a load that I did out of, I picked up a load, delivered it in Sanger, Texas on a Sunday. Well, everything that was coming out of Dallas wasn't working time wise. And so I looked at Monday morning, and the things that were coming out of Dallas were paying a certain rate. So I looked at something that was paying out of Oklahoma. And so the deadhead to Oklahoma plus the loaded miles paid just as much as the load coming out of Dallas, all miles. So I thought, well, if I'm going to do all miles at this rate, I'll just deadhead to Oklahoma and not even deal with Dallas and do what I need to do, and half my miles be empty. So if your wife asked you to sing a George Strait song for her, would you? Yep. Do you work with some brokers consistently or regularly? Yeah, John, absolutely. Um, and you can't get locked into a certain lane. Staying loose and fluid means going to different lanes has worked so far. I stay in certain areas. You know, Texas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Ohio, Illinois, Missouri, of course, Kansas, Indiana, um, Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia. You know, I don't go in the upper Northwest, and I don't go in the Northeast. I might flirt with Pennsylvania, but the last time I went up there, I ended up getting a load out of Jessup, which paid pretty good, but it was a huge hassle. I don't like the market coming out of the Northeast if I want to go west. The market in the Northeast is good if you go southeast, like if you go like the Carolinas. And so, you know, with everything I'm dealing with at home, I haven't really gone that far anyways. And then I even went up to Minnesota. Earlier this year. So I mean, it's you know, actually a month ago or so, something like that, a couple months ago. So yeah, I just, you know, I don't have any location limitations on my dashboard search. As far as working with the same brokers, it depends on who's got what I want. I guess that didn't make sense. So if like the first part of the first year I was in the spot market, I was predominantly trans-place, and I was going up to Michigan a lot. Michigan and Kansas and Arkansas with their loads, to the point that I got really good rates from them because I provided great service, and they were always good about detention and everything else. And then the second year, I was primarily C.H. Robinson and Uber. And then during the vid, I I was predominantly Convoy, Uber, and C.H. Robinson. Oh, and Ryan and Global, because they had all the water and stuff like that. And here lately, I've been kind of doing some new brokers, because they might have a short run, like the Joplin to Arkansas runs that I was doing. That was a new broker for me. So, you know, it just depends on what time of year, who's got what, because a lot of brokers lose their contracts or contract shift. You know, if I could do the same load for 5 different brokers over and over, and one time a year this particular broker will have it, and next time, you know, and then the second part of the year this other broker will have it, and I usually get around the same rate, which is interesting. So, what is a carrier packet? Big Houston, that's when a carrier wants to do a load for a certain broker and they're not set up, you got to set up insurance information, you know, a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo, insurance billing information primarily. So, GNC is doing good in the spot market. Are you planning on getting a newer truck in the next 6 years? I don't know. That's the question that remains to be unanswered. It remains unanswered. Any new bands that are putting out good music? Not really that I've come across. I know Flotsam and Jetsam has a new album, but they're not a new band. I've discovered a band called Nanowar of Steel, which is they're funny. They're musically they're insanely good, but lyrically they're one of the most jokiest bands out there. They're a parody band for sure, kind of like Steel Panther. Yeah, I nothing really comes to mind right now, so. The weekends could be a pain compared to the drop and hook of Schneider. Yes, GNC, and it was especially a challenge at Landstar. Schneider made that. Those were the gaps I was able to fill when I was at Schneider. Now in spot market, you definitely have to time things just right. So it just also depends on the lane that you're in. But from the Carolinas, you can start working your way back west. But that's the difference between us. Your geographical location, also your expenses allow you to do different things. Right. And that's why there's no one size fits all with this. You know, somebody that lives in Oregon is going to have a different experience with the spot market than, say, someone that lives in Missouri. Someone that lives in New York City is going to have a different experience than someone that lives in Southeast Texas. So, you know, there's so many factors. I live a rock stroke from I-44. So, guess what? I can get loads that go through the house all the time. And it allows, you know, and Missouri is such a good state with even numbers that I talked about earlier, that it's easy for me to run the short game. You know, Ohio, Illinois, Indiana, Missouri, and Arkansas make it easy to run the short game. Smooth Trucking, what's up? When my garbage is paid off, I'll probably stay close to the Southwest. Garbage, are you having issues with your truck? If you deadhead to Oklahoma City and get the same revenue as if you loaded from Dallas, did you lower your cost per all miles and significantly increase your profit on that load? Yeah, because your fuel costs, your variable fuel cost goes down. And your rate per mile on the loaded miles is up. So yeah, not significantly, but it comes out to about the same. So, you know, when you think of going into Dallas and, you know, the fuel to come out, you know, so yeah, it's you know, on paper it looks better. You know, there's a lot of people that don't want to deadhead more than 50 miles, and there are people that don't mind deadheading 200 miles. I am of the latter. I don't care about deadhead. When the market is really, really, really tight, when the volume is really low, I will do round trip loads. I'll take a load and I'll do it round trip. And as long as my profit is still good, we're good. You know, there was a week where I had to stick around the house for family reasons, and I literally could not find anything that worked. So I did 3 loads from Rolla to Rogers, Arkansas that paid decent, and I just deadheaded back. I looked for loads going back, but it was going to screw up the timing, or it didn't work with the schedule. So and I had no problem, and I stayed consistent, and then my all miles was okay, but my rate per day was still good. So, you know, and now again, if I had a $5,000 truck note, I couldn't have done that. I would have had to, you know, go outside and screw whatever's going on at home. And that's why I always say, keep your costs low so you have more freedom. You have the ability to tell that broker no. You have the ability to go to the areas that you want. You have the ability to stay fluid, as already put it, when your costs are lower. When your costs are too high, every penny counts, and you've got to overthink everything. I'm a man of simplicity. You know, simplify your diet, simplify your business model, simplify, you know, your mentality, because if you overthink everything, it's going to overwhelm you at some point, and then that's where burnout occurs. That's where you make a mistake. That's where, you know, if one load or one breakdown can make or break you, then that's a problem. You don't want to live under that kind of stress. I wholeheartedly believe that. No, I don't do joy rides in the big truck. You make poor decision when you start craving tacos. That's absolutely true. John, I agree with you. Great fuel costs generally in Missouri also. Yep, keep it simple, stupid. Yep. Here I am. Seattle is beautiful. The people are nuts. Dave's all over the place. He's funny. You think rates will rise when Christmas freight starts because everything else is low supply? Do you think there will be Christmas shortage freight? I don't know. That's hard to say. I think that there's not going to be a big Christmas spike in volume numbers because a lot of people are warehousing right now. They're grabbing everything they can and buying it early because they know inflation's going to affect things. So don't be surprised if you start seeing Christmas decorations and things of that nature starting to ship in September. So, you know, there'll be a lull at the end of July. August, there'll be a transition period, but then September is when the Christmas freight will start. That's when the DC's needed. DC's needed by the end of September. But if there's extra warehousing going on, that, you know, there may not be. I've noticed the spikes that I used to witness every year have gotten lower and lower as far as like extreme. Like it's all or nothing, and then it's a little bit, and then down, and then now it's just kind of like a mound. That is something I've observed personally for the last, 4 years I've been in the spot market. So 3.5 years, I guess. So. Yes. Who said that? Ninja, you are absolutely correct. I'm seeing it in Edwardsville. I'm seeing it in Joplin. I'm seeing it in Mooresville. I'm seeing it in the middle of nowhere in Illinois. I'm seeing it in Kansas City, around Belton, Missouri. It's like 50 million warehouses going up. And a lot of that's Amazon too. Amazon's building a warehouse here in this area, Republic, Missouri. And when you got big cities like Dallas, any of you have tried to deliver to that Amazon there off of I-20? Have you ever done that? Have you guys ever gone through I-20 and seen that? They're close to Bonnie Road, whatever, by the Flying J, and you see like 50 trucks We had one of our drivers that literally sat in one of those lines for 26 hours. So Amazon can't keep up. So they're building warehouse after warehouse after warehouse. So that's a big part of it. Chewy.com is creating a lot of warehouses. Walmart.com is creating a lot of warehouses. You know, you had the Bentonville Walmart DC. Well, across the street is the Walmart.com DC. Those are two separate things. So yeah, the big companies are warehousing like crazy. Do I bring a guitar? I used to, Undertaker, but I don't anymore. Perhaps I will someday. I want to get a ukulele. I know it sounds weird, but I do. Phoenix too huge, DC being built there. Hobby Lobby already has all Christmas stuff out. Starting to see those things in stores now. Shauna, a lot of the Christmas stuff is going to be overrun from last year. That's the thing. A lot of Christmas stuff doesn't expire. You know, like lights and decorative stuff, such as the things that Hobby Lobby sells. It's the candy and the food-related items that create the small spike. There's a company out of Neosho that handles all the small appliances, coffee makers, toaster ovens, crap like that. And they usually start ramping up, and they used to start ramping up in September. I've seen them start ramping up at the end of July because I love those loads because they're light, easy shipping, easy receiving, and it just depends on what broker's got them or what kind of rates I get out of them. LTL staging has grown ridiculously fast. 6 new Amazon plants by Joliet, even 2 Target DCs in the last year. Yep. Get Mrs. Snorelord and have a jam session, slap bass. I don't think she's touched her bass in quite a while. We haven't practiced or nothing. Now, I'll grab the guitar every now and then and do a stupid live feed with it, but beyond that, I really don't have a desire to sit there and practice per se. You know, maybe get some riffs out and get some outlet out, but that's about it. So yeah, observe what's around you. You know, there's Chewy.com's going up everywhere. So dog food's going to be a thing, cat food, pet food, all that kind of stuff. A lot of the loads I've been doing lately have been pet food related. Undertaker has some unique questions. What do you guys think? Do you think soon they will build a time travel machine to go back to the past, like going back to the 90s? Undertaker, I wholeheartely believe, no, I don't really, but I believe that maybe the UFOs that we're seeing might be just time travelers. Coming back to us and telling us not to screw up. Ever thought about that? Ever thought about the spaceships that helped build the pyramids that were time travelers? Ever thought about that? Probably not, but you know, whatever. It's a stupid question that I've asked. It seemed like there was something else I wanted to talk about with the spot market stuff. It'll come to me. That's why we can't find them. There you go, Ninja. There you go. There you go. That's why they just disappear, right? Because they're time traveling. Waiting on parts, John. Yeah, that sucks. That really sucks. See, that's why I wouldn't want a big, huge truck payment. John's truck's paid off, but that's why I wouldn't want a huge truck payment because, you know, you can have warranty cover that truck all day long, but, you know, if you can't get parts, you have downtime. Too much downtime, you can't make the truck payment. It's kind of a vicious circle. Why are these UFOs only being seen around our nuclear power carriers? Well, it seems the Navy said it happens weekly. I don't know. I mean, it's who knows? I mean, we could speculate till the cows come home, but for the most part, until it's revealed what they actually really are, we'll never know. And I don't know. I mean, I have some weird, crazy idea theories in my head, but I'm not going to put that out here. Well, people think I'm nuts. Hey, the wife is in here. Yes, she is. While I doubt time travelers would make, since they don't stop and say hello. Well, RN, I mean, everything I learned about time travel, I learned through Hollywood. And Hollywood says that if you meet your former self, that could screw things up. Or you have the butterfly effect. Where the littlest thing, you know. So, yeah, 12 Monkeys, another one. Uber's got 5 loads available in my area, guys. Isn't that awesome? Let's see what they have. Wow, that's a good rate. $3.75 a mile for 793 miles. 2-day delivery. Oh, look at that. Delivery time's 1 a.m. So barely got enough time to do that. Look at that. $4 a mile to go into Colorado. Look at that. See, when you see stuff like that, I don't see the point of going to the Northwest for a little bit more than that. Who's this customer out of Edgerton? Ah, that's why. $4.83 a mile for 300 miles. There's a ton of these Kansas City to Clarksville, Arkansas, but Arkansas, you're probably deadheading to either Joplin, Neosho, or Rogers, or Little Rock. Wow. I have to jump in the truck for a minute. Here's a load for $27 a mile for 18 miles. I don't mess with that stuff. See, and that's all the same customer. 2 months ago, Convoy had all that same customer on the shipper side. Wow, there's a ton of freight coming out of Kansas City. Edgerton, that's Kansas City. So you can go, yeah. Everybody dogs the click and goes, but man, I see good rates from them all the time. Do they have some crap? Absolutely. But who doesn't? Who doesn't have to crap every now and then, right? Montrose is not the best place to be. Yeah. Well, I mean, you think that logic is there with them, but then sometimes, like there was a load to Marianna, Florida, paying only $2.50 a mile from out of here. I'm like, okay, you'll pay me X amount to go to Virginia, but not not the Florida, or the times don't work. It's like, unless you're a team, we're super single. I talk about that in my video later. Okay. Kansas City is a weird place, man. I usually don't see good rates. Like, volume will drop on Thursdays. It's weird. When I'm doing my short game, Thursdays is like everything just stops. It's weird. Kansas City is hit or miss. If I had to choose to get freight out of St. Louis or Kansas City, it would be St. Louis because the rates pay better. You're in a much more centralized area in the country. And I've seen volumes. I've seen 500 loads within a 50-mile radius of St. Louis. Hell, the beer loads that come back to Joplin or Springfield pay almost $1,000 for 200 miles. It's and I've seen them go as high as 1,500. And it's like a half a day trip. So you can essentially pick up something after and have a $2,000 day, which I've done that. I've done. The key to running the short game is you have to know the area. You can't just like pick a spot and hope for the best. I mean, you can do that. We've had a guy over here that was successful with that. However, if you really know the area, you really know the brokers, and you really know the customers, you can really manipulate that to work to your needs. Like, there'll be loads that on paper don't look like it's doable, but if you know the customer, they'll take you early, or you can spend the night there, or that there's a truck stop literally a rock's throw away. Then you can make it work. Or worst case scenario, I can sleep in the driveway, that kind of thing. You can make it work. So the impossible becomes possible, and that gives you leverage. And then if it's a broker that knows what they're doing, they're like, hey, you're really good at this. We would like to talk to you about doing more of these. So got 3-something mile to Toledo. Good morning, Thomas. Sleeper bunk motor needs replacement, not covered by warranty. One more night in a hotel and $580 labor. I agree with you, Undertaker. Customer service is best advertising. It is. It really is. And the brokers watch our YouTube videos. I don't know if you guys realize that. They really do. Landstar, guys at Landstar, like higher ups at Landstar, still watch my videos. Make sure I'm not trashing them. A lot of Schneider guys still watch me. But I've had brokers that I work with regularly that are representatives of the bigger brokerages email me and say, hey Steve, I liked your video this morning. So, they're watching, so if you get on YouTube or Facebook and you trash the brokers and show a crappy attitude, I don't think that helps your cause. I could sit here and, like people gripe about TQL. They never put the right cities. That's stupid. I hate that. Every broker has a game, and they have their rules, and that's a method that TQL does. Whether you agree with it or not, it's all on how you react to that. And I know carriers that do really well running for predominantly TQL. So, I mean, and when you do get a good rate out of them, when you do find a good agent over there, you can do really well. It's the horrible agents, it's the lying tactics that a lot of these brokers, with any company might use that you have to watch out for. And so sometimes it's dishonesty, sometimes it's a lack of communication, or sometimes it's both. And that's the issue that I have with certain brokers, is that, you know, the lack of communication could cost me a lot of money. You know, I don't have the right delivery number, or, oh, it was supposed to be 9 p.m., not 9 a.m., and I've already started my clock trying to get there at 8. You know, things like that. That's, you know, but with the new hours of service, we've got a little bit more flexibility, so even that hasn't been a factor. I've been enjoying these new hours of service flexibility that we have. I've been enjoying that, and have utilized it. Have I planned loads around it? No, but I've utilized it in some of these tight situations that the brokers have put themselves in, because they're trying to book this stuff at the last minute, because they're trying to maximize. You know, they're trying to, oh, well, we're going to push this up a day because we could probably get it for $500 cheaper if we push it up a day, you know, that kind of thing. You know, at least that's what I think is going on. I could be wrong. Schneider's dismantling the choice board with a new program. I stopped seeing most of my regular customers I've been driving for the last few years. Ninja, that's what another friend of mine told me. A lot of his loads went on the other board. So eventually they're going to phase out that legacy board. You know that. It's in their best interest to do that. And what's going to happen is they're going to make the air board, the AIR board, all-in rate. They're going to make that tempting. A lot of the people that are on it are saying good things about it. And if you're the guy that does nothing but Frito-Lay in a certain area, a certain corridor, and then those loads all of a sudden disappear, and you hear that they're on the AIR board, you're like, well, I guess I'll go over there. You know, it's easy to get trapped into running just 2 or 3 customers at Schneider as well as the spot market. And, you know, I know guys that their entire bread and butter was Tractor Supply and Frito-Lay. And they manipulate the board, which in turn manipulates the drivers. If they don't want an IC taking a certain load, they will put a crappy rate on it. If they don't want the ICs taking certain loads, they'll just won't put it on the board. If they need a bunch of people in a certain area, they'll manipulate the board to work to that area. So, not that there's anything wrong with that, but if you own the low board, you can manipulate it. So that was the problem with Landstar as well. No, not just anybody can buy that stuff, Undertaker. You still have to go through a background check. The show loop is not true. It's a felony if you try to do a private sale in certain states. You know, I believe with TQL, it depends on the MC number. I believe the newer the number, the more they can get away with. Thomas Wilson, that is with any broker. That is absolutely true, Thomas Wilson. It has benefited me on that with TQL. Turned out the pickup was less deadhead. Yep, I'm just waiting for trailer prices to go down, and paid off my truck a couple of months ago, so I'm just getting prepared to leave, right? But IC board. Tractor Supply, chips, and General Mills, that was my bread and butter at Schneider. And that's the advantage of Schneider, is you got contracts, just like Thomas Wilson does a lot of Pepsi. And so a lot of their bigger contracts that has the volume, they're going to go to that other board, and that's how they get everybody. All they got to do is starve you out of that legacy board. That's it. And then you're going to be in the all-in rate board, which means that they can determine the price, and you're not getting 65% anymore. You get what you get. You know, so, and that's what it is. It's a contract / market manipulation on their part. Big Rig Radio Network. Hello, Jeff. Look what I'm drinking out of. I got my Cafe Altura, my favorite coffee in the world, and my favorite mug. It's because it's a true Yeti. It's not like one of them Walmart knockoffs, which are just as good, but it's a true Yeti. Iron Maiden cup was this morning. I was using it earlier this morning. So, at the end of the day, observe your market, whether it's Schneider, Landstar, spot market, company driver. Observe your market. Observe around you, and simplify. Don't overthink things, because this industry can make you mad if you overthink it. Do what works for you. Sometimes you got to put blinders on. Don't be an asshole, and do what you need to do. No, you didn't. I don't believe you, Jeff. I don't believe you. And if you really did, they better. I think Saginaw, Michigan needs to maybe invest in that technology that whenever there's gunshots in the air, they can hear it. Jeff and I were joking about that yesterday because he's getting the trailer from that same dealer I got my trailer from, which has the bullet hole in it. If we shoot it today. Yeah. I don't recommend doing that, Jeff. You're in Wixmo, Michigan. Is it dangerous here? I've never even heard of that. And Thomas Wilson, I think you're probably okay though. Allegedly. If you're a deer. I'm back. Likes to go live around the same time my wife goes to work, and she always calls when she's going to work. LOL. It's dangerous if you're a deer. Well, guys, I got to get off of here. Yeah, you have Mr. Glock with. I got my two friends, Smith and Wesson. I got to get off here. I got to call. I got to make phone calls. I got to go back to my mom's. We're on day, what did I say, 37 of the carnivore diet. Things are still good. I have not strayed whatsoever. Thursday might be a challenge though, because we're doing a last hurrah for my mom. So don't know what that's going to entail, but we'll see. That will be day 38, because today's Wednesday. So, but I have to make a few phone calls. I have to get business done, and I appreciate everybody coming in. For those of you who gave me super chats and cash apps yesterday, I really appreciate it. Michael, I didn't get to shout you out. I didn't the feed before I could thank you for the cash app. You can tell the difference it's worked for you. You know what's weird is I've lost a few pounds. I've lost about 10 pounds, but that's in 37 days. So I'm trying to make some adjustments, but for the most part, I feel it working up here. That's the most important part. I really do. And and physically, I mean, my back's been kind of sore because of the amount of lifting I've had to do. My physical activity's gone through the roof as well, versus what I normally do. So that's a part of it as well. And then the stress. Nothing like being hyper focused on something and forget, oh man, I forgot to eat. So it may sound bad, but it feels good. So that being said, thanks for watching. I appreciate every single one of you, and you guys are awesome. Without you, I would not be here. Peace.